I was born in Torino 67 years ago, but very early in my life I decided that it was probably better for me to have an international experience. So as soon as I finished my duties, my school, my military service and so on, I had the chance to go for 6 months for a training period in the United States with General Electric. And 6 months became a 40-year career. So I've been traveling the world with General Electric. I lived for many years in the United States. I lived in Belgium, in Holland, in Japan, in Germany, and today I'm resident of Switzerland. But despite this, despite being around, and maybe because I've been going around like this, I've always been a fervent, I always had the desire of working for Europe, you know, because I do believe in the European concept. I think that the only way for us Europeans to be successful as an entity is really to be capable of unite, to be capable of creating common interests, common policies, and so on. And because I do believe that one, I think that we all have to work towards that.
Europe is the biggest economy in the world. Europe is the richest economy in the world. Europe could be, because of history, because of culture, because of influence, could be a real power. And we shouldn't be separating from Europe or dividing Europe, because what can happen in the future, even for almighty Germany by itself, squeezed between, and I'm looking at it from an economic point of view, squeezed between the United States on one side and China on the other side. It's like the slice of salami in the sandwich. And then we had 2001 situation, and the beginning of this century has not been easy, has been going from one crisis to the other, and we are still living through that. So we have seen ups and downs in our life. But what do we see right now is, if you look at it from a macroeconomic and political point of view, we have seen the transformation of our world from a bipolar world to a multipolar world, because you had several different constituencies that tried to position themselves as leaders. You have China, that is clearly becoming an economic leader, not a political leader yet, but certainly economic leader. You had in the Middle East the chaos and the confusion that is generated by the loss of one of the reference points. And so you have the Iraq war, you have Iran that is trying to establish itself, you have Syria today, and so on. You have the lack of resolution between the Israeli-Palestinian situation. You have in the other hemisphere, you have, thank God, a certain amount of peace, because you don't have dictators anymore. You have somewhat of a democratic system that is coming up, but you certainly have a weakening of the United States. The United States that used to be the reference point, and we are going to spend a couple of words about the United States later. And then in Europe, what is happening? We have this enormous crisis. The banking system is still unsettled. The economy, the growth, is still a very weak growth. We have a tremendous lack of coordination among the different countries. We have a lack of leadership. And when I talk about lack of leadership, I'm talking about lack of European leadership. There is nobody that is stepping up to try to become a leader in Europe. You have strong leaders in each one of the countries, but you don't have anybody that is willing to really commit the strength in order to create Europe. But I decided to come back to Europe because Europe is my home. I mean, it's like I don't know how to explain it. I mean, it's where you come from, where you feel that you are culture, where you are comfortable, where you understand. I mean, it's your family. That's the point.
Thank you very much.